This woman traded her voice for a miracle, yet the community she served for decades just treated her like trash. They watched her save a life, then branded her silent sacrifice a curse. It is absolutely sickening how quickly people turn on the very person who keeps their bloodlines alive. The old midwife stood in the middle of the village square. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. The crowd stepped back as if silence itself had pushed them. Someone whispered, "She has lost her voice." Another voice cut through the night. "No, she gave it away." The newborn baby in the chief's arms cried loudly, strong, steady, alive. But the woman who had pulled that cry from death itself could not even breathe properly. Her throat moved. Her chest rose. Her lips trembled. But no sound came. The villagers stared. The night wind moved through the trees. Then someone shouted from the back of the crowd, "She is cursed." The words fell like stones, and the old woman Mama Nkem slowly realized something terrifying. The child was breathing perfectly, and she would never speak again. Her knees shook. The chief looked at her, confused and shaken. Mama Nkem tried to explain. She lifted her hand. She pointed to the child, then to herself. Her lips moved again. Still nothing. The crowd grew restless. Someone muttered, "This is not ordinary." Another voice answered, "She has brought something from the spirit world." Mama Nkem's heart pounded. Because deep inside, she knew they were not completely wrong. She had made a bargain, a terrible one. And now, the price had been taken. She took one step back. The crowd moved further away from her, as if silence itself was contagious. Mama Nkem lowered her head slowly, and that was when the baby suddenly stopped crying. The entire square froze. The chief tightened his grip. The baby's cry faded, then stopped completely, and the silence that followed felt heavier than death itself. 3 hours earlier, the night had arrived like a storm that no one saw coming. The village of Umuagu was loud with panic. Women ran between huts. Men carried lanterns. Children cried. The chief's compound was filled with shouting voices. "Where is Mama Nkem? Go and bring her now." The chief's wife cannot breathe properly. Inside the mud house, Chief Okeke paced like a trapped lion. His wife lay on a mat, sweating and shaking. Her fingers dug into the cloth beneath her. Her breathing was uneven, and the baby inside her had not moved for hours. A young girl rushed in, breathless. "Mama Nkem is coming." Relief spread across the room, because in Umuagu there was one truth everyone believed. If Mama Nkem was there, life still had a chance. The door opened. Mama Nkem entered slowly. She was old, her back slightly bent, her wrapper tied firmly around her waist. Her eyes calm but sharp. She had delivered nearly every child in Umuagu. She had seen life begin and sometimes end. But tonight, something felt wrong. She stepped closer. She placed her hand gently on the chief's wife's stomach. Her fingers paused. Her eyes narrowed. The room grew quiet. Mama Nkem pressed her ear gently against the belly. She stayed there, listening, waiting. Then she slowly pulled away. And for the first time in many years, fear crossed her face. Chief Okeke noticed. "What is it?" he asked quietly. Mama Nkem did not answer immediately. She checked again. Her fingers trembled slightly. Then she looked at the chief and shook her head slowly. "The baby," she whispered softly. Her voice was barely steady. "The baby is not breathing." Gasps filled the room. The chief's wife cried weakly. "No, please." Mama Nkem quickly moved into action. "Boil water," she ordered. "Bring clean cloth. Open the windows." The room became busy again. But Mama Nkem's heart beat loudly in her chest because she had felt something else. The baby was still, too still, and time was running out. Hours passed. The labor was long, painful, slow. The chief's wife screamed, then cried, then grew weak. Finally, the baby came out, but the room fell into silence. The child's skin was blue, its body limp. No movement, no sound, no breath. The chief stepped forward slowly. His hands shook. "Why is he not crying?" he asked. Mama Nkem did not answer. She lifted the baby. She rubbed his back. Still nothing. She cleared his mouth. Nothing. The silence grew heavier. The chief's wife started sobbing. "No, no." Mama Nkem's hands trembled. She had seen this before, but something about this child felt different. She tried again. Nothing. She pressed her ear to the baby's chest. Her face went pale. No heartbeat. No breath. Death had arrived. And for the first time in decades, Mama Nkem felt helpless. Then suddenly, the wind outside grew stronger. The lantern flickered. The door creaked open slowly. Mama Nkem froze because she heard something. A whisper. Soft. Close. Right beside her ear. A voice she had not heard in years. "Trade your voice, and I will give him breath." Mama Nkem's fingers tightened around the child. Her eyes widened. The whisper came again. "Your voice for his life." The lantern flickered again. The baby remained still. The chief's wife cried weakly behind her. Mama Nkem swallowed hard. Her hands shook because she knew this was no ordinary moment. And slowly, she nodded. Mama Nkem did not know when the tears started falling. They slid quietly down her wrinkled cheeks as she held the lifeless child close to her chest. Her nod was slow, but certain. The whisper faded. Then the air inside the room grew heavy. The lantern flame bent sideways as if something invisible had just passed through. Mama Nkem's throat suddenly tightened. She grabbed her neck. Her breath caught for a moment. Fear flashed across her face. But she did not change her mind. The baby remained still. The chief's wife cried weakly behind her. Is my child gone?" Mama Nkem tried to answer. Her lips moved, but something strange happened. Her voice came out faint. Thin, almost like it was already leaving her. "No, not yet." She looked down at the child. Her hands trembled. Then she remembered something her grandmother once told her many years ago. Sometimes life must be called back, not with hands, but with sacrifice. Mama Nkem swallowed. Her throat burned. The whisper returned. Pull the cry from the silence. Her heart pounded. She had never done this before. She did not even know if it would work. But she also knew this child had already crossed the line between life and death. There was nothing else to try. Mama Nkem closed her eyes. She placed one hand on the baby's chest and the other gently on his throat. The room fell silent. Even the chief stopped breathing. The wind outside slowed. Mama Nkem leaned closer. Her lips trembled. She took a deep breath. Then she opened her mouth and began to hum, a low, trembling sound. It was an old sound, ancient, something passed down through generations of midwives. Her voice shook, but she kept humming. The baby did not move. She pressed gently on the baby's chest. Still nothing. The humming grew stronger. Her throat burned harder. She winced, but continued. Then suddenly, the baby's lips twitched. Mama Nkem's eyes opened. The chief stepped forward. Did he move? Mama Nkem pressed again. Her humming became louder. Her voice cracked. The baby's fingers curled slightly. The chief's wife gasped. He's moving. But the baby still did not breathe. Mama Nkem felt panic rising. The whisper returned again. Pull harder. Her throat tightened painfully. Mama Nkem ignored the pain. She leaned forward. Then she did something no one in the room expected. She placed her mouth gently near the baby's lips. And she inhaled deeply. Then, slowly, she pulled, as if she was drawing something invisible out of the air. Her chest tightened. Her throat burned. Her eyes watered. She pulled again. Her humming turned into a strange sound. Then suddenly, the baby jerked. Mama Nkem gasped. The baby's chest lifted slightly. The chief stepped forward quickly. Again, he shouted. Mama Nkem pulled once more. Her throat tightened sharply. Pain shot through her neck. Her humming broke into a cracked sound. And then, the baby cried. A loud, sharp, powerful cry. The room exploded with relief. The chief's wife burst into tears. My son, my son. The chief fell to his knees. The baby cried louder, strong, alive, breathing. Mama Nkem smiled weakly. But something was wrong. Her throat tightened again. She tried to speak. Nothing came out. Her eyes widened. She tried again. Still nothing. Her chest rose quickly. Fear spread across her face. She grabbed her neck. The chief looked at her. Mama Nkem. She opened her mouth. No sound. Her smile faded. Her fingers trembled. She shook her head slowly. The whisper returned one last time. The price has been paid. Mama Nkem felt something inside her throat close completely, like a door shutting forever. Her breath came out silently. Her voice was gone. The chief stared at her. Mama Nkem, talk to me. She tried. Nothing. The room grew quiet again. The baby cried loudly. Healthy, strong, alive. Mama Nkem held the child gently. Tears filled her eyes. She nodded slowly. Then she handed the baby to the chief. Her hands shook. The chief took his son carefully. He smiled with relief. But when he looked back at Mama Nkem, his smile faded. Because her lips were still moving. And her silence was permanent. Just then, the baby suddenly stopped crying. Mama Nkem froze. The chief tightened his grip. The child's chest moved slowly. Too slowly. The room filled with fear again. Mama Nkem's heart pounded because she realized something terrifying. The breath she had pulled was not fully settled, and the baby's chest suddenly stopped moving again. Mama Nkem successfully saves the chief's heir. The child grows stronger and begins to breathe perfectly, proving that her sacrifice worked. The chief and his family are relieved and grateful at first. But as morning comes, things begin to change. The villagers notice that Mama Nkem can no longer speak. They also notice that her breathing is weak and unnatural. Rumors begin to spread quickly across the village. Some people say she used forbidden powers. Others claim she brought something back from the spirit world. Fear slowly replaces gratitude. The same people she helped for decades begin to avoid her. Mothers who once trusted her with childbirth now pull their children away. People whisper behind her back. Some even call her cursed. The chief tries to defend her, but fear spreads faster than truth. Then, one final emotional twist happens. The chief's baby suddenly stops crying whenever Mama Nkem leaves and only calms down when she is nearby. The villagers see this as more proof that something supernatural is tied between them. Instead of seeing her sacrifice as love, they see it as something dangerous. Mama Nkem realizes the painful truth. She saved the village's future, but lost her place in the village. The story ends with Mama Nkem sitting quietly outside her hut at sunset. She watches the chief's son from afar, breathing perfectly, alive because of her. She tries to smile, but no sound comes out. And the villagers slowly shut their doors as she walks past. Years pass, and the child Mama Nkem saved grows strong and healthy. The village slowly forgets her sacrifice, but they never stop calling her cursed. Mothers stop visiting her. Children are warned to stay away. Mama Nkem lives quietly, alone and forgotten. Then, one terrible night, everything changes. The same child she saved suddenly falls sick. Not an ordinary sickness. His body burns with fever. His breathing becomes weak. His eyes roll back. The chief rushes him to every healer in the village. Nothing works. They travel to neighboring villages. Still nothing. The sickness becomes worse. The once lively child becomes silent, just like Mama Nkem. Fear spreads across the chief's household. The chief begins to lose hope. Then, an old seer is called. The seer looks at the child quietly, closes her eyes, then speaks slowly. The healer you seek is in your village. The chief leans forward desperately. Who? The seer opens her eyes. The woman you called cursed, Mama Nkem. Silence fills the room. Shame spreads across their faces, because they all knew the truth. They had rejected the very person who saved them. The chief immediately orders his men to bring her. But the seer stops them. No, you must go yourselves and beg her. The chief, his elders and villagers walk to Mama Nkem's small hut. She sits outside quietly, watching the sunset. When she sees them approaching, she looks confused. The chief kneels. The elders kneel. Even the villagers kneel. Tears fill their eyes. They beg her silently. Mama Nkem looks at them, surprised and emotional. They bring the sick child forward. Her eyes soften immediately. She touches his forehead, closes her eyes. Moments pass. The wind moves gently. Then suddenly, the child gasps. His breathing returns. His fever drops. His eyes open slowly, alive again. The crowd gasps. Tears flow. Relief fills the air. The chief weeps openly. Then one by one, every tongue that once spoke evil about Mama Nkem starts speaking good. She is a blessing. She is the protector of our children. She is the mother of life. The chief stands and declares, from today, Mama Nkem is not cursed. She is the blessing of Umuagu. The villagers cheer. A celebration is thrown in her honor. Drums beat. Women dance. Children gather around her. Mama Nkem sits quietly in the center, smiling, still silent, but no longer alone. Drums filled the air. Women danced in circles. Children laughed and ran around Mama Nkem. The chief stood proudly beside her, smiling with relief. For the first time in years, Mama Nkem was no longer alone. The villagers surrounded her with joy. Songs of celebration echoed through Umuagu. She is our blessing. She is the mother of life. She saved our future. Mama Nkem sat quietly in the center, smiling gently. Her eyes shone with emotion. Though she could not speak, her heart felt full. Then suddenly, the sky darkened. The wind grew stronger. The drums slowed. A loud thunder roared across the sky. Boom! A mighty lightning strike flashed above the village. The crowd froze. And at that very moment, Mama Nkem collapsed. The drums stopped instantly. Women screamed, "Mama Nkem!" The chief rushed forward. Villagers gathered around her in panic. Her body lay still. Her chest barely moved. Fear spread quickly. No, not now, not today. The chief knelt beside her, shaking. "Mama Nkem, please." Then suddenly, Mama Nkem's fingers moved. Her chest rose sharply. She gasped, and before anyone could understand what was happening, she shouted, "I can breathe." The entire village froze. Silence. Shock. Then someone shouted loudly. She spoke. Mama Nkem sat up slowly, tears streaming down her face. My voice is back." The villagers erupted into screams of joy. Women cried. Men lifted their hands to the sky. Children jumped and laughed. The chief hugged her tightly. "Mama Nkem, this is a miracle." The drums started again. Louder. Faster. The celebration became even hotter. Dancing filled the village once more. Songs of joy echoed through Umuagu. Mama Nkem stood in the center, smiling, speaking, alive with joy. The woman who lost her voice for a child's first breath gained a village that would forever speak her name. If this story touched your heart, and you believe kindness always comes back as blessings, type blessing in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts, share with someone who loves emotional stories. Subscribe for more powerful African stories like this.